Shalom, shalom and welcome. Welcome. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. And I want to welcome you to this new series. This series is called Letter and Spirit. Letter and Spirit. My brothers and sisters, I want you to consider the life in the scriptures. Consider 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 4 through 6. And before I get into this new series, I want to say this, my brothers and sisters. There are a lot of people you hear say, show me the scriptures. And they think if you show them the scriptures, they have it. But there are so many different translations of the scriptures, I can't even begin to count. Well, I probably could, but I just don't want to take the time and say that it's 100 different versions and it might be 200. Case in point, there are many different interpretations and publications of the scriptures. Some have all the inspired written word that has been translated or believed to be translated, and some have only 66 books. And they use different words and terms, my brothers and sisters. So my point is, when someone says, show me the scripts, show me the scriptures, so many leaders, so many influencers has taken the posture of saying, don't believe anything someone tells you. Ask them to show you the scripts. And I say to you, my brothers and sisters, that is not enough. In other words, when the words differ with different translations, a person could become confused. We've never asked ourselves, since we read the scriptures, we say we study the scriptures, but yet we're still so divided and there's still so much confusion. I want you to know this, my brothers and sisters. 2 Corinthians 3, 4 through 6 lets us know that the letter kills and the spirit gives life. You see, my brothers and sisters, no matter how many scriptures one will show you, no matter how many books or letters that people write, this is not really the end of the matter. It is only the beginning. I submit to you that the scriptures, books, and letters are mere signs that can point us towards praying and being influenced. Now, of course, the original scriptures were the inspired word of the Almighty Father Yahuah, inspired and anointed with His Spirit, designed for us to pray to Him and witness Him bring understanding to His scriptures, to us. So it's not just as simple as showing the scriptures. The reason why I say the letter kills, because look at the damage that can be done by just reading the text, having different interpretations and different understandings. And many people don't realize when the Mashiach, when Yahusha said, I'll give you endless water, everlasting water, as written in John 4th chapter, he meant his living word. When it talks about his living Torah, it means his living instructions. Yes, there were the written 10 commandments, the laws and statutes. But there is even much more, all connecting for the betterment of our worship and obedience to the Almighty Father. With this said, my brothers and sisters, this series is designed to contribute towards delivering the life in the scriptures, beginning to experience what everlasting life is through the scriptures as the Almighty Father brings understanding. It is designed for us to see that our interpretation, we may get more if we read it again, and we read it again, and each time we read the scriptures, we get more out of it. Because we will begin to experience that more connects to the literal. The literal is the exact text as you see it, the exact letter as it is written. The spiritual is when that text comes alive and we begin to get more and more and more. That's because the Spirit, the anointing of the Almighty Father, is with us to strengthen us and guide us. And there is endless amount of instructions we can receive. I'm saying this to say, my brothers and sisters, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter what you do, or what people say, or what we read, we cannot command maturity in ourselves because the flesh war against the spirit. When we begin to realize it is the Spirit of Yahuah, where he states he will write his laws and statutes upon our hearts and minds. It is the Spirit of Yahuah that makes things clear, that brings true unity and true understanding. And we will discover that. With that said, my brothers and sisters, let the words I present in this series, letter and spirit, aid or contribute towards the scriptures coming alive and we seeing some things from a new light or a more clear light in addition to the literal. So I began this series talking about obedience over slaughtering. Obedience over slaughtering. So let's unpack this first segment of letter and spirit, dealing with obedience over sacrifice, over slaughtering rather. I present this series for emphasizing the need to see the connections between the letter and spirit in the scriptures, as I stated. You see, because if you just say, show me the scripts, and you think that you have it, sometimes you may be sadly mistaken. Sometimes in your confidence, you might find that you're confidently wrong. Yahuah, my brothers and sisters, it is highly possible for us to discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah that was manifest before us in the person of Yahusha, whose spirit was sent in Yahusha's name. Yahusha represents the word of Yahuah manifest before us. From the virgin birth to the sacrifice to the resurrection to him sending his set-apart spirit in Yahusha's name. So when we say Yahusha, when we lift up Yahusha, we lift up the plan of Yahuah, the plan that brings life, everlasting life. Pray on these matters as we go into this subject. If you are one who seeks to do the will of the Almighty Father, I consider you my brother, my sister, my family. And I want you to ask yourselves, what do you believe Yahusha meant when he said he will give everlasting water? Come with me to John chapter 4, verse 13 and 14. John chapter 4, verse 13 and 14 reads, Yahusha answered and said to her, this is Yahusha when he met the woman at the well. He answered and said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst. And the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water, springing up into everlasting life. He is talking about everlasting instructions, everlasting words that he presents before us, my brothers and sisters. You see, the enemy wants us to cut things off. A lot of the confusion we have is about cutting things off. We are divided with Shabbat because we cut things off, not realizing that it began with Yahuah, who is light. That it began with Yahuah, who is the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. We right away start with darkness, their morning and a day, but we left Yahuah behind with Adam and Eve. He said that you would eat of this fruit, you would be like the Almighty One. He did not say that you will destroy the relationship with Yahuah. He didn't say all the damage that would be caused because things were left out. So if we, even though we desire to get it all, to receive it all, we must take as much as the Almighty Father gives us. Because in some cases, my brothers and sisters, some people are blinded because they want to get the elements of wisdom from the scriptures to use it for their own self-gain. It is important for Yahusha that we understand what this means. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 4 through 6 reads, "And such trust we have towards the Almighty One through the Messiah." And I'm reading the scripture version 2009 of my sword. It says, "Not that we are competent in ourselves to reckon any matter as from ourselves, but our competence is from the Almighty One, who also made us competent and servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life." He gave us the letter, my brothers and sisters. But he who is the Spirit, he who is the Almighty One, didn't want us to just take the letter and run with it and say, "I got the scripts. You showed me the scripts." No, my brothers and sisters, he gave us the letter to lean into the author, which is him. He who is the Almighty One, to bring clarity. And I will demonstrate or make an attempt to present a demonstration that may help you to better understand. So stay with me. I'm compelled to believe that no matter how hard we search for words to influence a thought or belief on matters, it is the Spirit of Yahuah that reveals an influence. It is the Spirit of Yahuah that softens and hardens hearts. We must grow to understand that the Spirit of Yahuah is sent in the name of his word, and that name of his word is Yahusha. Consider John 14:25 and 26. It reads, "These words are spoken to you while still with you. But the Helper, the set-apart Spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I've said to you." Many of us don't realize that him reminding us of the things, the literal, he's talking to his taught ones. The spiritual, he's talking to any of his followers, any of his taught ones. But the literal was of those that were in his presence. Yahusha, my brothers and sisters, with each day, we must learn to be prayerful, to discern what the Spirit of Yahuah is saying to us in Yahusha's name. For it is Yahusha that brings us the language to instruct and guide us, the language that we need to hear. It is Yahusha that brings the softening of the heart or the hardening of the heart as necessary. I will present many lessons that we can learn by moving beyond just the text, the letter. I believe such lessons will help us better understand how the living word produces everlasting guidance. Stick with me, my brothers and sisters. I've decided to begin this series on the subject of obedience to the Almighty Yahuah. For in order to learn or be taught, in order to grow in maturity, we must have a heart to pursue obedience to he who is the Almighty One. I will present an example of what can be learned from an event that happened with Saul. Throughout this series, I will share the many lessons that we can learn from the scriptures, from Genesis to Revelation. I'm starting with Shaul in this lesson because it's talking about obedience. And I believe this would be a good one. Now, we all know about the story of Noah And many of us know about the great Exodus and the leadership of Moshe. But how many of us are familiar with the story I'm about to share regarding obedience? Let us begin, my brothers and sisters. I want to begin with 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1 through 3. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 1 through 3 says this, and Samuel said to Shaul, some translations say Saul, Yahuah sent me to anoint you sovereign over the people, over Israel. And now listen to the voice of the words of Yahuah. Thus said Yahuah of hosts, I shall punish Amalek for what he did to Israel, how he set himself against him on the way when he came up to Mitzrayim. He goes on to say, now go, and you shall strike Amalek, and put under the ban all that he has, and you shall not spare them, and put to death from man to woman, from infant to nursing child, from ox to sheep, from camels to donkeys. Remember these orders that Samuel gave to Shaul from Yahuah. It goes on to say, then Shaul summoned the people and mustered them in Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers, 10,000 men of Yehudah. And Shaul came to a city of Amalek and lay in wait in the Wadi. The Wadi is river. And Shaul said to the Canaanites, go, turn aside, come down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For you did show loving commitment to all the children of Yasharal when they came up out of Mitzrayim. So the Canaanites turned aside from the midst of the Amalekites, because Shaul was about to destroy them, with an exception, and you'll see in a minute. Goes on in the 7th to the 9th verse saying, and Shaul struck the Amalekites with Havilah and all the way to Shur, which is before Mitzrayim. And he caught Agag, sovereign of the Amalekites, alive, put under the ban all the people with the edge of the sword. So he spared Agag. Are you beginning to see what's happening yet? Stay with me. But Shaul and the people spared Agag and the best sheep and the cattle, the fatlings and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not put them under the ban. But all goods, despised and worthless, they put under the ban. They destroyed. Stay with me, my brothers and sisters. Notice already how the people disobeyed the orders from Abba Yahuah by sparing the king and the best of some livestock. Let's continue. See, he's already disobeying Yahuah. But just stay with me, my brothers and sisters. That's not the end of the matter. It goes on in the verses 10 through 12. I'm still in the 15th chapter of 1 Samuel. And the word of Yahuah came to Samuel, saying, I am grieved that I have set up Shaul as sovereign, for he has turned back from following me, and has not performed my words. And it displeased Samuel that he cried to Yahuah all night. And Samuel, some might say Samuel, rose early in the morning to meet Shaul. And it was told to Samuel, saying, Shaul went to Carmel, and see, he set up a monument for himself, and then turned and passed over and went down to Gilgal. Shaul getting beside himself. He not only being disobedient, he built a monument for himself. It goes on in 13th through the 15th verse, and it says, and Samuel came to Saul. Shaul is the one who built the monument. I don't know if I said Samuel. I meant Shaul if I didn't get it right. And so Samuel came to Shaul, and Shaul said to him, blessed are you of Yahuah, have performed the word of Yahuah. So he's sitting up there like everything is fine, like he hasn't done anything wrong. But Samuel said, what then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and in the lowing of cattle, which I hear? So Samuel is saying to Shaul, what is this I'm hearing? You're making it look like everything's all right, but I'm hearing some stuff. Shaul said, they have brought from Amalek, because the people spared the best of the sheep and the cattle to slaughter to Yahuah, your Almighty One, and the rest we have put under the ban. You're just hearing, it's the people that did this. And he goes on, talking to Samuel like he did everything is okay. If you look closely, Shaul lied to Samuel. And I'm going to show you in a minute why I say he lied to Samuel. Be advised, he tried to clean it up. He tried to clean up his disobedience with so-called good intentions. And I will show you that in a minute, my brothers and sisters. Stay with me. 16th verse to the 18th verse. I'm still in the 15th chapter of 1 Samuel. It says here, and Samuel said to Shaul, wait, and let me declare to you what Yahuah said to me last night. And he said to him, speak. So in other words, Samuel is trying to tell Shaul, don't start lying. Don't try to clean it up. Let me tell you first so you don't dig a hole deeper for yourself, so to speak. Can you see this happening, my brothers and sisters? And let's see here. So Shaul said, speak. And Samuel said, though you were little in your own eyes, were you not head of the tribes of Yasharal? And did not Yahuah anoint you sovereign over Yasharal? And Yahuah sent you on the way and said, go, and you shall put under the ban the sinners of the Amalekites and fight against them until they are consumed. So it's like, let me remind you, Shaul, what you were supposed to be doing. And he goes on to say, and why did you not obey the voice of Yahuah? It says, why do you not obey the voice of Yahuah, but swooped down on the spoil and did evil in the eyes of Yahuah? In other words, he was disobedient. And Shaul said to Samuel, I did obey the voice of Yahuah. Shaul is telling, Samuel already said he had a conversation with Yahuah. Samuel proven that he was a prophet of Yahuah, but Shaul is trying to mislead by lying. He said, I did obey the voice of Yahuah, and I went on the way on which Yahuah sent me, and brought back Agag, sovereign of Amalekite, and I put Amalek under the ban. But the people, now he's trying to throw his people under the bus, so to speak. But the people took the spoil of the sheep and cattle and the best of that which should have been put under the ban to slaughter to Yahuah, your Almighty One. So they're trying to make it look like, they're trying to clean it up. We took the best because we're going to slaughter before Yahuah. Good intentions, my brothers and sisters, are not always righteous actions. Let's continue. Shaul, being combative, proved that being combative is unwise. In other words, by lying, that wasn't a smart thing to do. Shaul was trying to convince Samuel that he did the right thing, and it was the people's fault. Really? Who was in charge, my brothers and sisters? Let's continue. Verse 22. I'm still in the 15th chapter of 1 Samuel. 22 through 24 said, Then Samuel said, Does Yahuah delight in ascending offerings and slaughterings, as in obeying the voice of Yahuah? Look, to obey is better than the slaughtering. To heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and stubbornness is as wickedness and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yahuah, he also rejects you as sovereign. And Shaul said to Samuel, now he realized he had sinned. I have sinned, for I have transgressed the mouth of Yahuah in your words, because I feared the people and listened to their voice. He's still trying to blame the people. You see, there are those who want to be leaders and be in charge, but they're quick to blame the people when wrongdoing is exposed and uncovered. Listen carefully, my brothers and sisters. For we discover that obedience is better than slaughtering. Some translations say sacrifice, so that's why I have sacrifice here. Slaughtering and sacrifice, same thing. But obedience should always be over slaughtering. We're still with 1 Samuel. Let's go on to the 25th to the 27th verse. It reads, And now, please pardon my sin and return with me and let me bow myself to Yahuah. So now, Samuel's like, listen to Shaul saying, oh, well, I need you to come with me as I ask for forgiveness. I need you to be with me, Samuel. But Samuel said to Shaul, I do not return with you, for you have rejected the word of Yahuah, and Yahuah does reject you from being sovereign over Yahusha. And as Samuel turned around to go away, Shaul took hold of the edge of his robe and tore it. Now you think by getting violent or passionate, he can convince Samuel differently. Not so, my brothers and sisters. 28th verse through the 30th says this. Samuel said to him, Yahuah has torn the reign of Yahusha from you today, and has given it to a neighbor of yours better than you. Moreover, the eminence of Yahusha does not lie nor relent, for he is not a man that he should relent. Then he said, I have sinned, but esteem me now, please, before the elders of my people and before Yahusha, and return with me, and I shall bow myself to Yahuah, your Almighty One. He's trying to clean things up. My brothers and sisters, we will discover blatant disobedience can have a very painful end and bring about lessons. In some cases, we will discover lessons that we cannot regain the time to correct, nor correct. For there are no rewind buttons. It goes on to say in the 31st through the 33rd verse, still 1 Samuel, 15th chapter. And Samuel turned back after Shaul, and Shaul bowed himself to Yahuah. And Samuel said, Bring Agag, sovereign of the Amalekites, here to me. Notice that Shaul didn't say, well, let me fix this and let me kill all of them. He never did. So it took Samuel to say, bring them to me. So Agag came to him delighted. And Agag said, truly the bitterness of death have turned aside. So Agag thinking everything's all right. And Samuel said, as your sword bereaved women, in other words, the damage you've done, let your mother bereave among women too. Samuel then hewed Agag into pieces before Yahuah in Gilgal. Do you believe that Samuel, by the example he set, somebody killed those animals as well? That's up to you. Please note, what Shaul failed to do, Samuel completed or led the completion. We're almost done, my brothers and sisters, with this chapter. Verse 34 and 35, still in the 15th chapter. Samuel went to Ramah while Shaul went up to his house of Gibeah of Shaul. And Samuel did not see Shaul again until the day of his death. And Samuel mourned for Shaul, and Yahuah was grieved that he had made Shaul to reign over Yasharal. You see, my brothers and sisters, don't try to outslick one another. The lesson to learn, we see what happened here, but to this day we see Hebrews, we see teachers, we see influencers trying to be slick and mislead us to thinking that they're doing what the Almighty Father is saying. Some are even boldly saying, the Most High told me, Yahuah told me this, the Most High told me that. Lying, misleading, misrepresenting. Some are tolerating compromising fellowships, camps, and community. When the Almighty Father said there is no compromise, for any house divided against itself cannot stand. Let us learn the lesson of not trying to outslick or outwit the Almighty Father. Let us not put up deception. And let us not mislead people to thinking good intentions are okay, because they're not. It goes on as I gradually come to a close on this chapter. He says, and Samuel went to Ramah while Shaul went up to the house of Gibeah. And Samuel did not see Shaul again until the day of his death, for Samuel mourned for Shaul. And Yahuah was grieved that he had made Shaul reign over Israel. You see, there was grief. There was mourning. But that did not erase what Shaul did. No matter how one tries to spin, justify disobedience, it does not make it acceptable. Always remember, obedience over slaughtering, over sacrifice, and it requires more than just good intentions. It requires discerning what is right and obeying. Good intentions do not always equal righteous obedience, my brothers and sisters. Remember that. And I'm going to share another brief example of good intentions that led to the death of another. Allow me to present that example, my brothers and sisters. Come with me to 2 Samuel 6th chapter 5 through 7. 2 Samuel 6th chapter 5 through 7. It reads this, my brothers and sisters. And I'm in the scripture version, and I'm almost done. Thanks for your patience. And David and all the house of Yasharal were dancing before Yahuah with all instruments of fir wood, with lyres, with harps, and with tambourines, and with sistrums, and with cymbals. The reason that they were dancing and celebrating, the ark was returned back to Yasharal. So they were happy that they got the ark back. And if you read earlier on, you'll find that there was a time when the ark was taken by the Philistines. And so they got it back. And they dancing and they were celebrating. And this is what I'm reading now, what's happening. And when they came to the threshing floor of Nacon, Uzzah reached out towards the ark of the Almighty One and took hold of it, for the oxen stumbled. Now if you back up, you'll see when they got when the ark was returned to them, it was on a cart. And I want to set the stage and encourage you to research, and you'll find that the ark was designed in order to be carried by the priests on their shoulders. It was designed to be carried, not on a cart. Notice that it says, Uzzah reached out towards the Ark of the Covenant and took hold of it, for the oxen stumbled, because the oxen was pulling a cart. And the wrath of Yahuah burned against Uzzah, and the Almighty One struck him there for the fault. And he died there by the ark of the Almighty One. See, Uzzah was a brother. Uzzah had good intentions, but he forgot that the ark was supposed to be carried, not on a cart. He didn't ask the question. He didn't pursue. He didn't pray without ceasing and pursue why the oxen stumbled. Who made the oxen stumble? He reacted swiftly, quickly, but erroneously and wickedly. But it was good intentions. If you read the rest of the story, you see David was upset because of what happened, or hurt. In other words, he felt some kind of way. But recognizing that the ark needed to be bore on the shoulders, corrections were made. Examples were set. Yahushua, my brothers and sisters. End times are here. We have read, some of us, and some of us will read many serious things that occurred throughout the scriptures. We have glazed over scriptures sometimes, not even realizing that they affect us today, our lives today, as we live and breathe. The days are here where we will witness the severe hand of discipline from Abba Yahuah. So let us, my brothers and sisters, let us pursue his living orders and to completely obey Yahuah. It is unwise to do what we or anyone else thinks is acceptable when it's contrary to Abba Yahuah's commands and orders, my brothers and sisters. I strongly, as I come to a close on this topic, I strongly encourage the discussion on the matters regarding how to embrace the importance of obedience over slaughtering, sacrifice. Always remember, this requires more than just good intentions. Obedience over slaughtering. Even when it comes to the feast times, people are more so talking about feasting and eating and the sacrifices made, not understanding the full meaning of the feast times, the purpose, the spiritual, everlasting instruction that comes associated with the feast times. It's not spoken of. My brothers and sisters, we will learn that in the scriptures, as they are made alive, there's so much to learn, there's so much to be said, so much work to be done as a result of the scriptures coming alive by the Spirit of Yahuah, whose word, whose spirit is sent in Yahusha's name. We will learn that. And I can present as many words as given to me. But it is the Spirit that will open your eyes and ears. It is the Spirit of Yahuah that will harden or soften your heart. It is the Spirit of Yahuah that will reveal and make known and make clear what indeed we must do. My brothers and sisters, are you ready to begin coming closer together? Having conversations that bring us closer together? Be advised, it is the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name that makes the scriptures come alive. Can you receive that? Can you confirm that or reaffirm that? If not, pray. Pray earnestly and seek the desires of the Almighty Father. Be encouraged, for the Almighty One will never ask us to do something without equipping us with the tools and ability to do such. End times are here. Welcome to this new series, Letter and Spirit. There will be more passages that I will bring out the life in as I believe the Spirit of Yahuah opens my eyes to share with you, my brothers and sisters. And if I stirred your spirit, if you learned anything, if you are energized in any way, consider subscribing, share, and like. Let others gain from reading and listening and visiting the messages that I present. They may get something that you didn't. And if they listen, you might get something that they didn't. Let us take advantage of this algorithm, my brothers and sisters. Don't just look at it as, oh, he's just trying to get subscriber base. Let's look at it as tools that we have before us. This may be, in some cases, for some people, the only task that Yahuah is asking of them, to point his set-apart words, actions, and teachings to others. Each of us will be held accountable for all that we do. Let us make sure we're doing things that help build up the set-apart body, the set-apart awakening nation of Yahuah. So stay tuned, my brothers, as this series, Letter and Spirit, brings out words that can help point to the life and its set-apart walk. My name is Symmanayah, and I bring to you these words. Be encouraged. And my number one prayer is that each of us discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah and understand what must be done. I end by saying to you, my brother, my sister, my family, Shalom.